Hey everybody, welcome to the video. We have a double header this weekend at Pocono, aka the Tricky Triangle. Not my most favorite track in the world. The racing can be a little bit boring. I know a lot of people don't really like Pocono. Plus, it always seems to bring bad weather, but it looks like the weather's getting a little bit better as the week progresses, so we have that to look forward to. But this will be the first race of the doubleheader this weekend. This is the Pocono Organic CBD 325. This will be on Saturday, June 26th at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And while Pocono is not the most exciting track out there, I am looking forward to two races this weekend, so we are pulling double duty, which means we'll have two videos and two live streams this weekend as long as you guys want me to do just that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are as well. You probably wouldn't be on this video right about now. And if you find this video helpful or entertaining or useful or whatever, any way possible, please leave a like. The more you guys interact with my content, leaving likes, leaving comments, and all that fun stuff, it's going to help the video out. And if you want to follow me over on social media, I'm at Pennell16 on Twitter and CPenn16 over on IG. And if you haven't yet done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button, whether you're just a frequent visitor to the channel and you haven't yet done so, or if you're brand new and you happen to enjoy the content. I do cover some other sports as well, pretty much each and every single day. And it's just a free and easy way to help show some support to the channel without becoming an official Patreon member. But if you do want to join the Patreon, I am running a bit of a deal here since it's the end of the month. And people don't like to sign up on the end of the month because you get charged back on the first as well. As long as you sign up this weekend and you happen to continue your patronage through July, I'll refund this last week free for you. So you happen to get two races for free, which is double the content. So I actually think it's a pretty good deal. So if you want to sign up, this is probably the best time to do so. I'll be doing a lot of extra work. I got articles, optimizer, ownership projections, rankings, cheat sheets, data sheets, Discord community, which has a bunch of people in there. I woke up at 9:30 today and there was like 100 messages going. It's a 24/7 Discord chat with lots of really good people in there. Just a fun place to come in, hang out, talk strategy, build lineups, all that fun stuff. So check it out. If you want to join, this is probably the best time to do so. So link is down below in the description. Just look for the orange circle and it'll take you right there to become an official Patreon member. And I do appreciate each and every single one of you guys very, very much. So there's a few hundred of you over there, so thank you very much. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the plugs for the most part. So without further ado, so let's get into the preview of this weekend's race. And as per usual, I do need to mention a few things before we get into the actual preview of this video. So number one, the live stream schedule this weekend. Since there's going to be two videos and two live streams, assuming you guys want me to do a live stream on Saturday. I know everyone's going to want me to do one on Sunday, but if you guys want me to do one on Saturday, I'm thinking maybe around 12 or 1 o'clock Eastern, because the locks at around what, 3:15. So I think 12 or 1 is probably a good time to have that. So if you guys want to do a live stream on Saturday, I'm not sure if you guys have anything planned, you can let me know down in the comments. And if you want me to, I'll be more than happy to do so, because I do find those always a really good time. And if you want to join the DraftKings contest that I host each and every single week, all you gotta do is comment your DK username down below. And there's about 100 open spots there. I'm not sure if I'll make it smaller for the Saturday race or not, depending on how I think demand's going to be for Saturday race, because I'm sure a lot of people won't even know there's a Saturday race, and I feel like some people that are watching this video, it's going to be on Sunday, and you're not even going to realize you're on the wrong video. So if you want to join, just comment your DK username down below. You get a chance to win some money, and you get some shout-outs on the channel if you do happen to place well. So I'm doing a shout-out to the winners from last week, and I'll throw that on the screen right about now. But coming in first place, taking home the gold and around $100-some, we had 4Goose coming in with 400.75 points. Only person to score above 400 this week, so shout out to you. You had an absolutely awesome lineup. Bill Kelly, 389. And my man Binder Phil, he ended up getting in third. And then Jesus Saves 2014 right in the bubble. K Daddy House 737, Colton Fisher in 6th, Barbecue King, Samurai 262, Lil Tuna 54. And then rounding out the top 10, we had Big Beck Stud. So shout out to all of you guys. You guys did fairly well. And if you guys, like I said, if you want to join and get a shout out on the channel and win some money, all you gotta do is comment your DK's note down below, and I'll be more than happy to send you that invite. But with that being said, I think that's pretty much it for the housekeeping, so let's get right into the preview of this race. As previously mentioned, this is the Pocono Organic CBD 325, quite the title there. This will be race number 1 of 2 this weekend at Pocono Raceway, aka the Tricky Triangle. It's a large flat track, and if you're wondering why it's called the Tricky Triangle, well, I think it speaks for itself. It is shaped as a triangle, unlike any other track in the series. It's a large flat track, and we only have 130 laps, which means dominator points aren't going to be super important this weekend. Now, if Kyle Larson comes out, leads 100 plus laps and wins the race, yes, those dominator points are going to be important, and to be honest, that's probably what's going to be happening. But for the most part, finishing position and place differential is usually what's pretty important here at Pocono for DFS purposes, with the lack of laps. And if you're wondering how I'm approaching this weekend, trying to find similar tracks and things like that, for the most part, the only real similar track to Pocono is Indy. It's another large flat track. Well, they are no longer running there. They're doing the road course later on this season there. But other similar tracks, I would just say ones with high horsepower, because at a 2.5 mile track, the bigger tracks, you're going to need that high horsepower. And the teams that have been fast this season, I assume are going to continue to be fast here at Pocono. But tracks like Michigan, Auto Club, Indy, Pocono, those are like your big horsepower tracks because they're so large. So you need the fast cars. So obviously the Hendrick cars, Joe Gibbs, have been pretty solid this season, but Hendrick's just definitely been in a league of their own for the most part. So that's kind of mainly what I'm looking at. But I'm looking at how drivers are performing this aero package this season, the 550 horsepower package, all tracks mile and a half and above use this package. So that's pretty much what I am looking at. It's nothing too crazy here. Kind of not a lot of laps, less than 100 dominator points available. Kind of like a road course in terms of how we view dominators, but we still want the guys that can finish well, pick up lap sled and things like that. So maybe that's how you should view it. But I think that's it for the preview for the most part. Nothing too crazy here. I do want to mention for the Sunday race, we determine how they finish on this race on Saturday. So they're doing a top 20 invert, then 21 through 40 will be exactly how they finish. So let's just give some examples here. If Michael McDowell finishes 24th in that race on Saturday, he's going to be starting 24th on Sunday. But let's say Kyle Larson wins the race on Saturday, which is probably going to happen at this point. He'll end up starting 20th on Sunday. Let's say Kevin Harvick finishes 3rd. He'll be starting 18th. So it's a top 20 invert. So those guys that would win the race end up becoming pretty good place differential plays on Sunday. And DraftKings kind of priced it, I think, on who they think is going to win, because those guys are going to have some place differential upside. So I guess we'll see that in the Saturday night video and record that. But anyway, that's kind of it for the preview for the most part. Live stream, I think, on both days will end up being around noon or 1 o'clock, and we'll have videos each day, so we'll go from there. But anyway, with that being said, let's get into the driver-by-driver breakdown portion of this video. And if you're wondering what my overall thoughts on pricing are this weekend, I think they did a good job of making it kind of a hard decision if you want to roster Kyle Larson or not, because this is the most expensive I believe we've had a driver all season long. He's no longer like 11K or in the upper 10K range. I remember at the road course, I want to say he was like $9,200, which was kind of a joke. Now at $12,500, you have to think a little bit if you want to roster Kyle Larson. I think a really good thing this weekend is that we have two other really good expensive place differential plays. And like I said, place differential is usually kind of a big deal at Pocono with the lack of laps that we have, because both Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott have top 5 upside. So it makes them very appealing. So they're also like $1,000 and $2,000 some dollars cheaper than Kyle Larson. And so I think it makes an interesting decision if you just want to kind of roll the dice with Kyle Larson in the pole, where he's going to have to lead most of the laps in this race and win, which is certainly possible. It's like a plus 225 favorite in Vegas to win this race. Or do you want to go with the place differential upside and build a more balanced lineup? So I think they did a very good job of that. Although I will say I think they kind of priced down some of these 6K drivers a little bit. Like Ryan Newman's below Justin Haley in price this week. So even if you do want to roster Kyle Larson, it's not that hard to roster him with one of the other place differential guys, because you can kind of build a nice balanced lineup, because these guys being are kind of underpriced for the most part. Like, how many drivers are in the 6K range this weekend? It seems like almost 10. And then some of these 5K guys just seem a little bit too cheap. So it's really not that hard to fit in Kyle Larson. So anyway, before we get too deep into the entire slate here, let's just go driver by driver. So we'll start with Kyle Larson here. $12,500. He is starting on the pole. And like I said, I kind of want some place differential at Pocono, but finishing position is also very important. And I would not be surprised if Kyle Larson leads 100 plus laps in this race. We have 130 available to us. It seems like he's leading 90 plus percent of the race these days. So would not be surprised if we see 100 plus laps led, wins the race. And if he does that, we're looking at around 100 points, and it would not matter what his price tag is anyway. He'd still be the best value on the entire slate. So personally, in my opinion, I think you should play Kyle Larson in cash games. As much as I would like to say just to play Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, and save some money, I'm thinking going the route of playing Kyle Larson plus one of those place differential guys is probably the best way to go. Because let's be honest, the way Kyle Larson has been in this package this season, he probably will dominate and he probably will win. Like, he's a super heavy favorite, like plus 225. We didn't see those kind of numbers last year. He's on a 3-race win streak, 4 if you want to count the All-Star race. He dominates pretty much every single race. And looking at his numbers in this package this season, 115.8 DraftKings points per race. The second best is William Byron at 61.7, so nearly double William Byron here, averaging 167.2 laps led per race, which the second best is Keselowski at 30. Then fast laps are at 63 per race, and the second best is Byron at 27.4. So he has been by far the most dominant driver in this package. He's got 2 wins, 135.9 driver rating. Could be 3 wins if the issue didn't happen at Kansas. Running position of 2.8, which is kind of insane to me. So yeah, Kyle Larson, I mean, yes, he's expensive. Yes, he's on the pole, so there's danger there, but I don't care. He's probably going to lead the majority of this race, and he's good at Pocono, too. He's got a couple of top 5 finishes. Obviously didn't run here last year, but he finished 5th in his most recent Pocono race in 2019. Had a bit of a rough stretch there for 2 races, finishing 22nd and 23rd, or 26th and 23rd, I should say, and then 2nd back in 2018. So I don't really have any concerns here with Kyle Larson. You should find a way to play him. Chase Elliott, $11,000, starting 29th. If you can give me a Hendrick car starting in the back of the pack, I'm going to definitely have some interest. In the most recent race of Pocono, he had an issue in the first race last year on Saturday, but on Sunday he finished inside the top 5, working his way from the back for the most part. He's got a couple of top 5 finishes here. Not really much of a lap leader or a dominator or anything, but starting 29th, if he ends up finishing like 5th, we're talking 60-some points, which is certainly possible because it seems like the Hendrick cars finish almost 1 through 4 every single week, and that would not surprise me if that happens once again. So love the place differential upside here from Chase Elliott. I think he definitely has a lot of upside, and he's got a super safe floor. And you can roster Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott together and still build a decent lineup because, like I was saying, these 6K guys are quite abundant, and they're all pretty good plays for the most part. So you should, if you want to play Elliott and Larson together, you can certainly do that, and I wouldn't have many issues with it. Martin Truex Jr., $10,700. If you're looking for GPP leverage, he should definitely be pretty low owned here because everyone's going to play Larson. Everyone's going to play Elliott. Everyone's playing Blaney. People are going to play Kyle Busch because he's Kyle Busch. And if they're looking at the track history, the guy is pretty darn good here at Pocono. So Truex is going to be a bit of the forgotten guy, but he's a winner at Pocono before. He's got some pretty strong numbers here. He's got a few top 5 finishes. Like I said, he's got a win typically in the top 10 here. Recent finishes are 10, 6th, 3rd. Yeah, I had an issue in 2019 where he finished 35th, but 15 and 1st. And I know Truex has kind of fallen off a little bit. Like, I've been playing Truex recently, and besides Sonoma, it hasn't really been working out for me. But if you're just looking for your pure leverage here, he still offers you some place differential. So I'm starting 15th, and the price isn't too bad. So if you're looking to play him in tournaments, I think that's a good way to go. Obviously, wouldn't play him in cash games because I can get Ryan Blaney for cheaper, and Chase Elliott's right there for $300 more, and I'm playing Kyle Larson. So wouldn't get there in cash games, but I think Truex does offer you some good leverage this weekend. Ryan Blaney, $10,200. He's starting 27th. Feels like he's kind of fallen off a cliff as well, and I wouldn't say Pocono's his best track by any means. He's got a couple of top 10 finishes, but no top 5s and no wins recently. But we don't really need him to get a top 5 to pay off starting in 27th. And if he can just get one of these finishes like 12th, 10th, 12th, 10th, 12th, in 6th place, I mean, that would be just fine starting in 27th. Like, if we look at the heat map here, which is something I always have available on Patreon, if Ryan Blaney happens to finish in 10th place, he's going to get us around around like 51 points, give or take some fast laps here and there. I don't think he'd really get up front or anything, but I mean, he's got a very safe floor. He's not overly expensive. So if you want to pair him with Kyle Larson, I had no issue with that whatsoever. Then Kyle Busch starting in 5th. He is $10,000, so the cheapest driver of this bunch, and this is a very, very good track for him. Pocono is one of the best tracks for Kyle Busch. I mean, pretty much one of the best drivers here overall. Him, Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick have been really, really good at Pocono, but he's got a couple of wins here. Second best driver rating, second most laps led, second most fast laps. Besides wrecking out last year where he finished 38th, he has finishes of 5th, 9th, 1st, and 3rd. So it's a very good track for him. And in this aero package, he's been one of the absolute best drivers. He actually has the best average finish in this aero package this season at 4.4. Pretty much because Kyle Larson wrecked during Kansas, but if you take that away, I mean, Larson's obviously got the best numbers everywhere. But Kyle Busch has been very good. 4 top 5 finishes, 5 top 10s, so every single race in this package, he's been inside the top 10. Hasn't been much of a dominator, but he has been picking up some fast laps, and he has shown the ability to move through the field, also averaging the 3rd most DraftKings points per race. So starting 5th, he's not a sexy play because he doesn't offer you that place differential upside guys like Truex, Blaney, and Elliott do, but he could definitely finish 1st in this race, win, or just kind of hang in the top 5 all day and finish 2nd, which would not surprise me whatsoever. I actually personally think the top 3 this weekend is going to be Larson, Kyle Busch, and then give or take Byron or Denny Hamlin, but those would definitely be my picks to finish top 4. Then probably throw in a Hendrick driver like Chase Elliott to end up being the top 5. So I like Kyle Busch in tournaments. I think he's a very strong play there. And you could definitely get some leverage there because with everyone focusing on the place differential plus Kyle Larson, he'll definitely go a little bit overlooked. Dropping down to the 9K range, we have Denny Hamlin, $9,700. He's starting 10th, and I actually think he's one of the absolute best tournament plays on the entire slate, even but more so than Kyle Busch because he offers you a little bit more place differential upside. But this guy is really good at Pocono, and his last 3 races here have been absolutely phenomenal. He's won 2 out of his past 3 races here with no worse finish than 2nd place. Then beyond that, he's finished 6th, 10th, and then 35th was an issue, but he has been great at Pocono, starting 10th. I mean, it's going to be hard to pass him up in tournaments. I'm not sure I'd get there in cash games just because I'll be kind of top heavy, but he's one of the premier Pocono drivers, and him being this cheap at Pocono seems like a bit of a steal in my opinion, so I'm definitely going to have some exposure to Denny Hamlin this weekend. Brad Keselowski, 9,500 bucks. He's starting 18th. I wouldn't say I like him over Denny Hamlin, but he does offer you place differential upside, 8 more spots further back than Hamlin, so there is some appeal there, and it's not like it's a bad track for Keselowski by any means. He's got a couple of top 5 finishes, hasn't been a recent winner, but some overall pretty solid numbers. Take away that 38th place finish in 2018, he's got finishes of 11th, 9th, 8th, 2nd, and 5th. So, I mean, I'd be willing to play some Keselowski here at 9,500 bucks. Not sure I get there in cash games because again, I'm going to be a bit top heavy, but Keselowski does grade out pretty well for me. And in this package, he's actually been pretty good compared to how he's been in the 750, which is kind of flip-flopped from last year. So, some top 10 upside, and I'll be willing to chase it. Kevin Harvick, 9,300 bucks. He is starting third. I mean, talking about guys that have been good at Pocono, Kevin Harvick is right up there. He was great last year. He finished first and second, won the first race, came in second. Denny Hamlin in the second race, averaging the most DraftKings points per race here, the best average finish, the best running position, the best drive rating. He's got a win, 4 top 5s, the most laps led, and the most fast laps. So he's definitely a hard fade if you're just looking at track history. But so far this season, he just hasn't really had a dominant car. Now, he's getting good finishes. I won't deny that. He's getting good finishes, and his price is getting lower and lower to make him viable, but I'd like him to be able to lead some laps here and there. He's got some fast laps mixed in, but he has 0 laps led in this package this season. A decent average finish inside the top 10, 2 top 5s, and 4 top 10s. So like I said, he hasn't been bad, but starting third, if there was some more place differential side, I'd be more interested in Kevin Harvick, so I'm going to reserve him for tournaments only. And even then, I probably won't be too heavy on him, but strictly looking at Pocono numbers, the guy has been fantastic. William Byron, $9,000. He is starting in second, which is always a tough spot for him because he's usually starting right beside guys like Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, which makes him kind of a hard play because do we really think he's going to get a jump on Kyle Larson at the beginning? It's certainly possible, and in the past, he has been a leader at Pocono, and this is actually a very good track for William Byron. Average finish inside the top 10, has a top 5, but 4 top 10s, 5 top 15s, always been inside the top 20, 5.8 laps led per race. Looking at the actual finishes, he's finished 7th, 14th, 4th, 9th, 6th, and 18th, and that was before he was running as good as he has been this season. Hendrick's went on a whole other level. I would be not surprised at all if William Byron finishes like 2nd or 3rd in this race and picks up the fast laps. And if he does that, there's a chance he could end up being optimal depending on how many dominator points he picks up along the way. So in tournaments, I think Willie B is definitely viable. Obviously, wouldn't go there in cash games because I don't want to, roster the guy starting 1-2 in a 130 lap race. But in tournaments, I definitely think William Byron is a pretty strong play. And if you don't have lineups with Kyle Larson, pivoting to a guy like William Byron who could lead laps early on is definitely a good way to go. So I will have some interest in Byron. Looking at his numbers in this package this season, kind of been the second best driver, only behind Kyle Larson. You can kind of mix in Kyle Busch right there as well, but 61.7 DraftKings points per race, 3rd best average finish, has a win, 2 top 5s, 5 top 10s. He's been a dominator, so William Byron certainly on my radar, but really only so for tournaments. Then jumping down to this AK range, we do some interesting tournament plays here, and we'll start with Joey Logano right below $9,000 at 8,800 bucks. He seems pretty cheap, and he is, so he's going to be affordable in our lineups, but I prefer him in the 750 package compared to the 550. I wouldn't say he's terrible at Pocono. He's got a couple of top 10 finishes, but we're going to need a top 5 here. We're going to need him to kind of contend for a win. We're going to need some fast laps here and there, and I just don't really see that in the cards for Joey Logano on Saturday. Or Sunday, really, for that matter. But last year, he finished 24th and 36th, and then 13th and 7th in 2019, 26th and 9th. I think if he has a clean race, he'll probably finish at the top 15. But again, starting in 4th, it just doesn't leave much room for upside. Plus, in this package this season, he has 0 top 5s, 1 top 10, and 2 top 15s. Nothing really too impressive there, so not really interested in Joey Logano. Alex Bowman, 8,600 bucks. He's starting in 13th. I think that makes him a pretty interesting play in all formats because he's a Hendrick driver with some place differential upside, and he's in the 8K range, definitely the cheapest of the Hendrick drivers this weekend. So finished inside the top 10 in the most recent race here, and then he has a 3rd place finish all the way back in 2018. And the way Hendrick's been driving this season, I definitely think Bowman has some top 5 upside here in this package so far this season. He has 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, starting 13th. I think he's a pretty interesting tournament play. I think you get away with him in cash games as well, but just don't really see myself leaning on Bowman in cash games the way I'm imagining roster construction is going to end up playing out. Kurt Busch, 8,400 bucks. He's starting in 8th. Not really too interested in Kurt Busch here. He's usually a guy that can be a top 10 guy for the most part, but at Pocono, only 1 top 10 finish recently, 3 top 15s, and 5 top 20s, so I think he's going to be solid, but starting in 8th place, I would rather just play some of the cheaper guys like Chris Buescher starting 25th, Christopher Bell starting 9th, and you even have Reddick in 16th, and all those other guys are starting a little bit further back. So I'm not going to be too interested in Kurt Busch this weekend. Plus, he's had some really bad luck in this package so far. Only averaging 11.3 DraftKings points per race with an average finish of 23.8 in the running position just inside the top 20. So not a lot of interest in Kurt Busch, in my opinion, this weekend. Christopher Bell, $8,200. He's starting in 9th. Eric Jones used to be really, really good at this track in the 20 car, and with the way Bell's been this season, he's definitely shown some upside. I know this year he has had some struggles in this package, only an average finish of 20th and a running position of 15.8 with only one top 15 finish and 2 top 20s, but Eric Jones in the 20 car speed can carry over. Jones has 4 top 5 finishes here. I mean, he's been very, very good at Pocono. Christopher Bell is a very talented driver. He's now in the 20 car for JGR. JGR typically runs very well here at Pocono. I think Bell's a decent tournament play starting in 9th because a lot of people aren't going to play him because Chris Buescher's right there starting in 25th. But don't forget, guys, in the 95 car last season, Christopher Bell finished in 4th place. Then in the next race, he wrecked out and finished in 39, so it's going to skew his numbers a little bit. But that 4th place finish in the 95 car was pretty impressive, and I think he was nearly $12,000 that day. And I remember fading him, and I ended up being really stupid because he ended up having a very strong race. But yeah, I think Bell can be playable in tournaments. Chris Buescher, $8,000. He's starting in 25th. If you look past his most recent race where he finished in 36th, which kind of skews his numbers a little bit, Buescher has finishes of 10th, 16th, 14th, and finished 37th in 2018, but then 17th. So when he hasn't been wrecking, he's been in between 10th and 18th place, which is very solid for a guy that's starting in 25th place. Plus, the way he's been in this package this season, he has an average finish of 11.2, 3 top 10s, inside the top 20 every single time. Also was a dominator at Homestead, which is really the only time those numbers are getting beefed up a little bit. But Buescher's been really good in this package, and he's kind of priced him exactly how he's deserved. So if you don't play him in any format, I have no issue with that whatsoever. Then dropping down to the 7K range, we have Tyler Reddick, $7,900. He's starting in 16th, and really we can only hope these Pocono numbers from last season keep his ownership down because I think he's an interesting tournament play starting in 16th. One of those guys that can be a good finishing position play with a little bit of place differential upside, but he had issues in both races last year. I forget what happened in the first one. He ended up finishing 30th, but I think in the second Pocono race, I want to say he had a power steering issue, and that wasn't there a rain delay, and then he ended up starting like 6 laps down or something, so he was dead from the start. I think I ended up having like 60% Reddick that day. I still had the optimal lineup in the second Pocono race. I think it was like Hamlin, Harvick, LaJoy, Jones, and I forget the other 2 guys. But I had a lot of Reddick. Fortunately, I had some lineups slip through the cracks that ended up having me a good day. But I mean, can't imagine he's going to have those issues again unless he has a lot of bad luck. So willing to look past these Pocono numbers. And if you look at how he's done in this package this season, I mean, he's got a top 5, 3 top 10s, average finish of 13.2. I mean, anytime Reddick's on the track, he's a super skilled driver. I'd like to see what he could do in like a top of the line team like JGR or Hendrick, but he's running well in his RCR car. Always has top 10 upside, top 8 upside any single time he's on the track. So I'm interested in him in tournaments. Austin Dillon, $7,700. He's starting in 12th. Typically a top 15 guy here at Pocono, but starting in 12th place, we're going to need some top 10s here for him to be viable, which is possible. In this package this season, he does have an average finish inside the top 10 with 3 top 10s, so not going to rule out Austin Dillon here. Definitely think he could be a solid finish guy, but no, not one I'm going to be overly excited about, but I will have exposure in tournaments. Eric Almirola, $7,300. He's starting in 11th. Unfortunately for us, this is a very good track for him, and he finished inside the top 5 in both races here last season. And overall, his numbers are pretty strong here. Like, I hate to recommend using Eric Almirola here, but with Pocono being a pretty unique track, I mean, I have my doubts of him being a full fade here. I know starting 11th isn't super exciting, so I'm kind of glad he didn't really qualify that well, so we don't have to have a ton of interest here. But if you're looking for a really low in tournament play, Eric Almirola does make some sense. I mean, he's got 4 top 10s, average finish of 10.3 here, averaging 46.2 DraftKings points per race. Looking at his actual finishes outside of a bad finish in 2018 where he finished 25th, he's got finishes of 5th, 3rd, 12th, 10th, and 7th. So he has been very good here. The one offsetting thing here is in this package so far this season, he's got an average finish of 27.8 with a running position of 23.2 and only 1 top 20 finish. So if you want to fade Eric Almirola, those are the numbers you look at to make yourself feel a little bit better. I will have probably a little bit of Eric just because of his track history of Pocono, but I'm not really expecting much. It's probably not going to go well, so I'd have limited exposure to him. MDB, $7,100 starting in 21st. Kind of hard to look at his entire numbers at Pocono because a lot of the time he was in junk equipment, but looking at his numbers last season, he finished 6th and 13th. Would not be surprised if he can have a top 15 run here on Saturday. And looking at his numbers in this package this season, really hasn't been that bad. Running position of around 15th place, has a top 5, 2 top 15s, and 4 top 20s. So I actually think MDB is going to be a decently popular place differential play on this slate. Dropping down to the 6K range, which has a bunch of drivers here, which is why I'm saying it's not that hard to fit in guys like Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott this week, because all these guys are at least pretty solid plays for the most part. But we'll start with Chase Briscoe, $6,900, starting in 28th. I think he's actually going to be a decent play here. He kind of hurt me last week because he was running very, very well. And I feel like Chase Briscoe has definitely picked up the slack recently in recent weeks. So I do have some high hopes here for Chase Briscoe. I think he's going to be a very popular play because, again, if you want to fit in guys like Kyle Larson, you have to find these place differential plays in the 6K range, and he definitely fits the bill there. So starting in 28th, I think he's got top 20 upside. I'm willing to play some Chase Briscoe at $6,900. Ross Chastain, $6,800. He's starting 6th, had a phenomenal run last week. He was fast in practice. That carried over during the race. He didn't have to worry about fuel at the end, so he was just kind of gunning it down. He unfortunately could not chase down Kyle Larson. He was too far ahead of everybody, but Ross Chastain's been fast recently, and I think he's got some sneaky top 10 upside here. I know he's starting 6th, so it doesn't leave much room for upside here, but if he gets a top 5 finish, which is possible, he was good here in the Xfinity Series, it could be a really nice tournament play here. Not someone I'm going to play in cash games, because why would I play Chastain starting in 6th in cash? Same goes for Ricky Stenhouse, but if you're looking for some low ownership with a guy that's got top 8 upside and someone that you wouldn't think has top 8 upside, I think Ross Chastain makes some sense here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., $6,600, fast last Sunday. I don't think anyone saw that coming to that degree. Yeah, he was decently fast in practice, but the guy was running 2nd for a good amount of time. I think he ended up just passing Chase Elliott straight up. He was picking up fast laps. I want to see close to 30 fast laps in that race. Starting in 7th, I'd probably rather play Chastain here, but I mean, the guy's kind of like a top 15 guy here at Pocono, top 20 guys. So starting in 7th, I feel like he's just going to lose us some place differential points. But if you're playing tournaments, a lot of these guys are going to be pretty high owned in this range. So the 2 leverage spots are guys like Chastain, Stenhouse, and Suarez. Suarez, $6,500. He's starting in 14th. They have a top 5 finish here way back in the day when he was in really good equipment. Finished 2nd in 2018 and 8th in 2019. Now that he's in the 99 car, it's not quite up to that level, but he has been good this season. He looked really good last week. I think he has top 10 upside. So again, if you're looking to get leverage off of guys like Jones, Custer, Priest, and Chase Briscoe, that will be pretty chalky this weekend. I think Suarez is another good pivot there for a guy that's got some top 15, top 10 upside. And looking at his numbers in this package this season, had 3 top 15 finishes. And as for Stenhouse, we didn't mention him, but he does have 4 top 15 finishes in this package. Then once you get below Suarez here, I'm just going to be mixing and matching all these drivers to make some things work up top because they're kind of all close together to each other. As for Eric Jones, he's pretty cheap, $6,400. He's really good at Pocono. The thing is, he's no longer in a JGR car, so there's definitely going to be a bit of a drop-off here. We cannot realistically expect Eric Jones to pick up top 5, top 10 finishes here in the 43 car, but if he can be a top 20, top 18 guy, that's not bad at his price point. Like if he finishes in 18th place, we would not be too upset about that at $6,400. In this package so far this year, though, not exactly the greatest thing in the world. Average finish of 20.4, in position of 21.9, 1 top 10 finish. But with Pocono being a little bit unique, and by a little bit I mean pretty unique considering there's only 3 turns, I think Eric Jones could be closer to the top 15 than he would be closer to the top 25. So I think there's some upside with Eric Jones. Cole Custer does a pure place differential play here. Finished 17th and 16th here last season. If you're just trying to make some things work up top, I feel like Cole Custer should be around $7,000, so you're getting a nice discount there. Ryan Preece, he finished 20th here last year and 25th. Starting 31st, I mean, I think he's priced appropriately. He has top 25, top 20 upside, and I mean, if you're just trying to make things work up top, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I would just try to mix in some Ryan Preece. In the 550 package this season, Preece has been kind of like a 20th to 25th place guy. And starting 31st, he's not overly expensive. I think we can play a little bit of Ryan Preece. Bubba Wallace, $6,100. He had a scary wreck here quite a few years ago. But the one thing I want to mention with Bubba Wallace is that this weekend, I mentioned it like a couple of months ago, but this is the time we want to play Bubba Wallace because what better narrative is there than the roster, the driver driving the DraftKings car? Like, it just makes all the sense in the world. Maybe they get some extra juice in that car this weekend, so I'll be playing Bubba Wallace just because of that. And I feel like we have some top 15 upside out of him. Plus, the car looks pretty darn sweet. Then Corey LaJoie, $6,000. He's been a top 20 guy recent weeks. And actually, last time at Pocono, LaJoie actually did win me a tournament. Not him specifically. He just kind of helped me out the bottom end because he was really cheap. But he finished 21st, which was surprisingly good enough to make it work. I forget where he started in that race. I guess 23rd. Because he finished 23rd in the first race. So he ended up picking up 2 spots, which didn't kill me. It actually worked out. So LaJoie's got a soft spot in my heart for that. Starting 23rd, I feel like we have some top 20 potential here for Corley Joy. Again, just mixing and matching all these guys down low. Justin Haley, $5,900. We have no numbers at Pocono, but starting 34th, he's pretty much kind of a fringe top 30 guy, but if he can pick us up 5 spots, that's not terrible, $5,900. So I got some fringe interest in Justin Haley. Ryan Newman, $5,100. I have no idea why he's this cheap. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. I think he's even cheaper on the Sunday race. I want to say he's $5,500. Like, I don't like the Vanilla Ice Cream Man that much either, but what are we doing, DraftKings? He's priced below Justin Haley. It makes no sense to me. And Pocono's not a bad track for Ryan Newman. He's got top 10 here, 3 top 15s, 5 top 20s. Finished inside the top 20 in each race last year. Finished 14th, 16th, 8th, and 25th. If you take away that 25th place finish, he doesn't have a finish worse than 18th in the past 5 races here. And in this package this season, he's actually been solid with 4 top 20s, a top 10, 2 top 15s, an average finish of 16.2. So, yeah, Ryan Newman at $5,800. I think you could play him in cash games. I mean, he is just way too cheap in my opinion. Michael McDowell, $5,600. Another driver kind of similar to Ryan Newman, where he's been pretty good in this package this season. I wouldn't say his numbers at Pocono are overly impressive, and he was actually the first driver to wreck out last year, finishing in 40th place, but he finished 8th in the first race here on the Saturday race. And so far this season, kind of similar numbers to Ryan Newman, where he has a top 10, 2 top 15s, and he has 1 more top 20 finish, average finish around 15th place. Just because of the price point, I think you can land on some Michael McDowell if he does offer you some top 15 upside on Saturday. That'll be a good price for it. Then after that, Alfredo's a fringe play starting in 24th, no Cup Series history at Pocono. Kind of a top 25 guy. Probably going to finish right around where he starts, so I don't have much interest in Alfredo. I'd rather play Michael McDowell and Ryan Newman, but you can mix and match him in there just to try to get different down low. Then after that, Davison, Cody Ware, Balicki, McLeod, Houff, Garrett Smithley, Timmy Hill. The only guy I'd play down here is Quinn Houff, which I know a lot of people aren't going to want to do that because he wrecked out last week, but in a very similar position last year, he ended up wrecking out first in the first leg of the doubleheader last year, so he started in 40th place, and I actually played 20% of Quinn Houff the following day because he was starting dead last, and he made some things work for me up top because I wanted to jam in Denny Hamlin, I wanted to jam in Kevin Harvick, I wanted to get all those guys up top, so I actually ended up playing a lot of Quinn Houff, and it worked out because he gained me 9 spots, so I know a lot of people got burnt from him last week, and they're probably not going to want to go back to the well there, but that just makes me want to play him a little bit more because I think he's got some top 35 upside, and starting at 37th, he is dirt cheap. I think he makes some sense to pick up a few spots, but be careful. Don't go super heavy on Quinn Houff because the guy's obviously not that great, but I think you could play a little bit of Quinn Houff there, maybe 5 to 10% if you want to make some double spin up or maybe even some triple spin up lineups work out. Then I wouldn't play pretty much anybody else down low. But with that being said, guys, I think that's going to be it for the video. So I truly hope it was helpful, and if it was, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's a free, easy way to help show some support here. And if you want to follow me over on social media, you know where to find me using the handles in the bottom right corner of your screen. And if you want to help support the channel over on Patreon, become an official Patreon member. Link is down below in the description. And since it's the end of the month, if you want to sign up and get this last week free, as long as you follow up with me the next month, you can get this last week free here, and you get 2 races. So I think it's actually a pretty good deal there. So if you do sign up, as long as you continue your patronage through July, you can get this last week free. I will hit that refund button for you, but there's a ton of extra content here. And since we're doing double duty this week, I think that's actually a pretty darn good deal. So check it out if you want to join the community. I think it's personally the best NASCAR DFS community out there. But with that being said, guys, I will stop rambling. We got 2 videos this week, so lots of extra content coming for you. Hopefully this video was a little bit shorter than my normal ones because we have 2 this week, so I was trying to keep it around in half an hour, but I will stop talking. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video or live stream or whenever you guys happen to see me next.